reunion, especially given Fisher's "We will see you soon" sign-off. NBC began exploring the idea of a reboot last year. Also, Carell's opening monologue back on SNL on November 17th played with fans' emotions, drilling down on the idea of an Office reunion. Now, if in fact it does become breaking news, we will bring it to you here on the Entertainment Wrap-Up. Now in other news, Hootie and the Blowfish announced their first tour in more than a decade. Multi-platinum band Hootie and the Blowfish will return from a lengthy hiatus in 2019, embarking on their first full-scale tour in more than a decade and releasing a studio album for the first time in nearly 15 years. In 2008, the band took a break from regular touring so Rucker could pursue a solo career in country music, and he did pretty good. He won a Grammy for Best Country Solo Performance for Wagon Wheel in 2013. The Hootie and the Blowfish 2019 Group Therapy Tour kicks off May 30th in Virginia Beach. For the Entertainment Wrap-Up in the IE, I'm Andrew Caravella.
KCAA.
Looks so pretty, you'll see. Amarillo, and Gallup, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona. Don't forget Nona, Big Sun, Moscow, St. Bernardino, too.
What's up, team? This is Robert Porter and Carmel Rowe with the I Love San Bernardino County radio show on KCAA NBC 106.5 FM, 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, where we will talk history, politics, and culture. Today we have a new segment. It's going to be called Living History, which we'll get into in a little bit. But first, I'd like to welcome our good friend Al Kellington.
Hola.
And say hello to Sung out there, whose foot is still hurting. So after being shot, so we're gonna send out a couple prayers for him for a speedy recovery and
maybe Sung will be here today.
I hope Sung does.
He may limp on in.
We got
so cool.
We got some magic cookies for him.
Well, you know, he took a bullet for San Bernardino.
Wow.
I just can't. I mean, to me, that's just so freaking crazy. Like.
That it could go down like that. Yeah,
just like that.
Yeah, it could be anybody.
It could be anybody.
And just think, if he hadn't made that move, they probably would have killed both of those guys in the back.
Yeah, that's scary stuff, man.
They could have, because then they could have got away with it, because there'd have been no witness.
No, right.
Any word on that? Is there any...
No, everybody went on vacation after that.
Oh my gosh.
Like the cops.
Yeah.
Oh, someone was crying for like and then they're like, "Oh, we were on vacation. We're sorry." I'm like, "What the freak?" This is why. I mean, like, for reals. This is why San Bernardino is a freaking madhouse, because of the cops. Like, they do bad things to the dogs. They harass people at their house. They use code enforcement to harass people. And yet, when you really have a freaking problem and you really freaking call them. Oh, we're sorry. We got 40 calls ahead of you. Oh, Miss Rowe, you call us all the time. We know that you already know we're not going to tell you our estimated time of arrival. I mean, what the heck? I mean, I'm telling you, I need to just go sell drugs on the corner, man.
Drugs and sex and rock and roll.
Well, if they would just provide us with some good cannabis licensing, we could be.
I mean, why not just go sell it on the corner, Robert?
Man.
Have you seen that sign all over town? It's got a green cross and it says delivery. Man, that guy is making bank.
Really?
I actually, I did see a sign today, but it wasn't a cannabis one. I saw a sign that said, slumlords for Valdivia. So
where was that one still up at?
It was up there over on Sierra Way and Highland. Ouch. So I went over there and I was like, I'm taking it down.
Yeah. Did you keep it?
It's in the backyard if you want it back, Valdivia. But what's interesting, I did a little archaeological study on it, you know, because like Scott Olson is one of the best sign guys in this whole area. He really puts a lot into it, and that's where I cut my teeth in politics with him doing signs at 2 in the morning, right? So like he's taught me everything about signs, and his number one thing is you never want to touch signs. Even now, I know Al Kelly loves to touch signs.
I got a collection.
Al Kelly doesn't touch signs until it's legal.
But like, basically what it is that I noticed that the sign had this glue mark on it. Right? So what happened is, I guess probably someone from Valdivia's team went over there and probably pasted something on the slumlords part of the top of the sign, right? Then somebody ripped it off. But I didn't get to see what that was, but I just saw that there was something going on there where they were playing against each other. Right
That's
there.
funny. Well, John likes to play sign games.
So I pulled the signs, and it's legal to pull them now. It's 10 days after the election, so it's all good. You can pull them after then, and just scrap them if you want. But the main thing is getting these signs up out of the city. They look like trash. Yeah. And whoever left that sign up like that, that's pretty trashy.
Shame on you, Scott Beard.
Now, I have seen, unfortunately, Mr. Nickel, I've seen your signs around. I've seen this Patty. I've seen her sign everywhere. Like if I see, I've seen a few Carrie Davises around there. I have to say, I have not seen one Valdivia sign.
I've seen a few.
So okay,
but the littler, like the yard sign.
Ones,
maybe there's a lot more on the other side of the city that I'm not looking at.
Well, I'm on this. I think he kind of left him up in his ward.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Think you're right. I can
understand that. It's like, hey, suckers.
Exactly why the anti-Valdivia sign was up, because I think they were still saying, trying to get their last little bit out of their money, right? Yep. Anyway, so that's
wasted money.
I did that today after I left the Green Shack. You know, I love the Green Shack. I had one of their new smoothies from over there. They're so good.
Bring me a sandwich. That pastrami sandwich, I saw it the other day online. I never seen it. I said, oh my gosh, I need one of those.
They're so good. But today I had a chicken sandwich. I haven't had it yet. I got it and I was about to eat it, but didn't have time. But I looked back in there and half was gone. I was like, what? What? Where's the three bears? Mama Bear right there.
Hey, Carmel, I don't know if you saw, again, when Robert posted that, so of course I was being a smart ass, and I just, happened to put, when are we going to evolve beyond eating, dead animals and a sandwich? And I had like a couple people wanted to kill me.
I didn't even see it.
I think I raced that one. Yes. You trying to, I got sponsors.
I was just messing around. I
just wanted that sandwich, man. And I just wanted to remember what kind I wanted to try.
I love to eat certain dead animals. I'm sorry.
Hey, wait, Robert, I want to hear about the chicken sandwich. What's on this chicken sandwich, and what kind of chicken is it?
Okay, bird. So I'll tell you the story. This is like an insight, right? So I'm out back at the Green Shack on the back patio writing my book, and this is about a year or two ago, and I see Manel sneak out with a little cup in a fork, and she's like, she's eating it in the back there, and I'm like, what are you eating, Manel? Like, why are you sneaking out eating that? She goes, my chicken salad. I love it. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to try that. It's so good. I get it with spinach and olives on their squaw bread.
I'm going to try that. It sounds like they really take pride in what they do.
Yeah, and they
got the best sandwiches
ever. The veggie sandwich is incredible,
I'm gonna
the
try
veggie sandwich is incredible. You don't even need meat on it. It's so good.
The bread is just so good.
Yeah. They have avocado. They have homemade breads and all that too?
Avocado. They got it all. And then sometimes they even have my avocados, depending if I this year has been kind of slim on them.
And they have banana pudding with these vanilla wafers in it. It's so good.
There's smoothies. You can get it like Latino style with all the different.
Those smoothies are new. I just seen that when I was in there.
Oh, it's so good because I grew up on all those things. So to me, I love Mexican candy. Sweet, salty, spicy, yummy. Good stuff. So especially if it's got THC in it.
Oh my God.
So that must mean you've been over there at Plant Organics too.
No, I have not in a while, but I do definitely want to eat some more of those goodies. Those are so good.
I've been there a couple of times because you told me about the salve that they have, and I'm saying it was pretty good, and even the slices they had, but they they stopped carrying them. I don't know if it's because they're remodeling and that. I hope they bring them up pretty soon because they really are effective. Honestly.
I think they might have got. I think they might have got all their.
Oh, here he comes!
Hey, we knew Sung was gonna hop on in.
Right on. What's up, Sung?
We were all hungry, all right?
Talking about Green Shack, it's hard not to get hungry. That's for dang sure, man.
Hey,
love the Green Shack.
Well, since we were talking about signs and politics, and what do you guys think about those 22 votes?
Oh,
wow.
It's 8 votes now, right?
You're
Oh,
kidding.
nine.
Yeah, it just got knocked down, right?
9.
Right, so like basically Alex Beltran is running against Fred Charette in the 4th Ward of San Bernardino, and it's gone from like 120 votes down.
No, it was like 476.
Oh, it was that much? Wow.
Yes.
So like literally, I was wrong. I'd like to say that. I'd like to take back what I said at the last city meeting where I said
I'd like to say I was right.
Yeah, Carmel.
And I'm glad I was wrong because it gives me hope in our political system when you can be wrong about the votes and how people could earn them back in the backing because it's like if you can never do that then it's kind of
If you knock all those doors, that's when they don't know really what hit them.
and it's like when I talked to Mr. Whitehead over there at the pup thing, the pound protest, like he said she's coming back every single time. And when politicians tend to trend like that, they usually pull through. It gave me a sense of hope that I didn't have before.
It started out like I think I remember the other day. I was like, "Oh well, we only need 76,"
That's
and I remember
amazing.
Robert's like, "Yeah, that's a lot. And I'm like, remember we had that conversation.
You count every vote, and I have to give California is probably the leader in that. Every vote is counted.
Well, I did. Alex Beltran has been on this show here.
Yeah.
And I invited. Actually, what happened? Well, I was in the city meeting, and Mr. Charette came up to me, he's one of my fraternity brothers in the Native Sons of the Golden West, and he comes up to me and says, "Hey, how come you had Alex on and you're not having me on?" And I'm like, "Isn't it fair to have me too?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is fair. I promised to bring you on." Well,
and then I said no.
Well, that's actually not what happened. I invited him, I didn't even tell Carmel because I know.
Now the truth comes out, Robert.
He said, no show that week.
So I invited him on, and he just the next meeting he sees me. He says, "Oh, I got your message, but like
I don't
what?
have time.
Piss poor excuse.
Right.
Yeah, to me,
But
I'm
now
like,
he's
hey,
looking back, right?
Hey, we've been rivals. It's okay to be rivals,
Yeah.
but he still might win. We don't know yet. But this is what he
9.
deserves.
We need
For treating
9.
people like that,
Crazy.
he deserves this weight.
This pressure.
Yeah, this is super
But
pressure.
every single time that the vote has came in, the margin and the gap has been lower and lower. It was like
Wow.
76 or something like that, and
Are
then it
these
was like
absentee?
all of them.
Oh.
It was like then it was like 42, and then the last time it was like 22, and now today it's like 9.
Is this a recount going
No.
on?
No.
Oh, it's not.
The whole still count.
Yeah. Who's doing the counting this late?
The county.
Counting.
Oh, amazing.
They've been counting.
So I'll get their exact ones right.
Yeah, if someone could call in who's an expert on on voting and counting, that would be like what is.
I'm going to tell you what.
Sure wasn't the DA.
So here I got it right here.
Right.
So Alex Beltran right now has 3,686 votes, and Fred Charette has 3,694 votes.
It's 9. I already looked. I've
That
been looking every
that
day.
is just like, I mean, to me that's such hope because it means your vote counts.
Yes, yes.
It means, like
And-
anybody in this whole room right now could get 9 votes.
Right.
Anybody could if you worked. If you probably wouldn't
Yeah.
even take that long to get that many votes.
This
But-
is what it says. This is what it says. It says the next posting results will be Tuesday, December 4th, which is tomorrow. And it says estimated ballots remaining to be processed. Mail ballots issued before the mail ballot deadline on October 30th, received within 3 business days following the election. Approximately 5,600 of the total approximately 5,600. Then it says, of the total estimated remaining mail ballots to be processed, about 900 mail ballots have been identified as received without a voter's signature. Of the total estimated remaining mail ballots to be processed, about 3,300 mail ballots have been identified as requiring further signature review. Ballots cast that were damaged and required duplication, approximately 25, and provisional ballots cast at polling places, approximately 6,700.
What the heck?
So they've got about 10,000 more votes that they're counting.
So, but tomorrow is the final. Is it,
No, the 6th is when they are going to be done.
10,000 more
So that
votes.
means. So is that
Still
Thursday?
That can't be. That's
I'm reading it to you.
Yeah.
10,000 more votes. That would be like 25.
Approximately 5,600 of the mail, and then out of that,
That's
900.
that's countywide though.
Yeah, county. It's
Yeah,
countywide.
yeah.
That's
county.
still a lot.
And
Yeah.
then
10,000 votes is
It's actually pretty embarrassing that this is.
a month later?
Yeah, this is
Something's not right.
something weird.
no, because usually I think they don't count them all.
Whatever it
Like
is.
I don't. Because
No.
They probably use a math formula
they
to figure
don't.
out the balance of like what could be
Right,
worth
the
it. It
hanging
costs
chads,
money.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And now because of all the races that took place at the congressional level, I think they knew that there's some scrutiny there, and especially with the Democratic Party.
And plus,
like
because
wolves.
this is like the final, this is the, like, not the general or whatever, this is the
Right.
primary. This
Yeah.
is like the,
Interesting.
bing, bang, like we need every vote counts around here.
So does
amazing.
I forget how does the recall work? If it's close, is it a city paid for recall, or does automatically the campaign have to pay for it?
I know it's 1/4%. Is that what the law is? If it's
Like-
within 1/4%?
Like there'll probably be a recount if it stays this close, right?
And only if somebody pays for it. And why would you pay for it if you're the winner?
Well, no, I mean Fred Charette.
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
He might want to pay for it just in case,
Let's just be real honest here, okay? Let's just be real. Ward 1, not the Charette clan. Ward 2, not the Charette clan. Ward 3, never be the Charette clan. Ward 4, oh, wait a minute, we might have no Charette, okay? Ward 5, Henry, Henry, he's just like, let me just go with the flow. He's not going to shake up the waves, And then Bessine, she's not in the Charette clan. So why would you pay for a recount if you know that you only have 2 of the Charette clan left? Or should I say the Morris clan? I mean, what good would that do you, because you already have 5 votes?
2 and more. Interesting.
But that's good. But I think I think that the rule is in the charter. It's not who can afford it. I think that.
No, they have to pay for it if they want to it's not in the charter. It's the county.
not-
The county
Yeah.
makes you pay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. You know what? It's interesting. We'll have to take a look
Now-
into the rules there.
It's really interesting. Like what
Because it's going to
happened.
come up, probably, right?
Yeah.
But like what happened in Ukaipa, I mean, the 2 city council people, it was like 48 votes, and it's this 3rd time that Ukaipa clerk, they always blame the clerk, not the city manager, send out false information in the flyer, and said, oh, no big deal, and then the paper just said, oh, no big deal, and the city manager said, oh, we've always done this. What the hell? So
Yeah, that happened this year. Like the city clerk let it be published that one of the ladies was a school teacher, even though she wasn't a school teacher.
right.
And then, they had to go and they had to get that polled. And, that's kind of sucky.
They didn't do that for Ukaipa, and I mean, Ukaipa's evil.
Well, it was polled for the second
Evil.
election, not the first election.
Oh.
So they got
okay.
away with it in the book one time.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like
Slips
that
are
stuff.
hard
Just
to
be as fair as possible and let the outcome be the outcome.
All right.
They cheat, just like that Stephanie Smith ordinance. That thing had enough signatures, man.
Yeah, that thing's
It's
shady.
and
yeah.
but I'm just laughing. I just want to let everybody out there know I'm laughing at the people who helped get that measure Y and X or whatever it is, W and X. Like they're not even their buildings are not even eligible to be part of it. Why would you support? Like I just don't understand why you would just support something that goes against what everybody else in the city and cannabis, wanted. Like all of us cannabis people. Like why would you get on that other side for money? Like come on, man, money really?
I just didn't like the personal cultivation rules from the very beginning. I didn't like that they just ignored the Cannabis Commission wholeheartedly.
And I mean, and those were good meetings.
Yeah,
And people showed up. There were rooms full of people, and not just cannabis people, neighbors. I mean, Robert Porter's, sons. Like that's where people
walked in on it, yeah.
people that people that, you know, aren't just like, I don't know, nobody. You know what I mean? Like people were really showing up to participate.
They heard us.
You know, they heard, and the Cannabis Commission heard us, and the Cannabis Commission did a wonderful job. I mean, and they had people like Sandra Levis, and they had Dr. Margaret Hill, and they had Damon Alexander as the chair. And so, I mean, for you to, one, go against the will of the people, but two, go against the will of your own commission, what the...
I hope I sent through the Vine for Damon Alexander to apply today, because today's the last day to apply for the county supervisor seat in the third district. And I was hoping he'd sign up, but like, I don't know if he did or not, but that'd be cool. But that's another thing that's going on here. So there's going to be an appointment in the third district.
He already knows who's in.
No,
go ahead.
Damon told me he wants to run for mayor.
Well,
so that's why he's not going to.
Well, no, like I'd assume he probably would try to run for the 7th Ward coming up.
If he's told me he wants to run for mayor in 2020.
So like, no, I don't think he can, because the mayorship's not up.
In 2020? No, not in 2020.
I mean, sorry, 2022.
But in 2020, the
that's his
7th
goal.
Ward is up, and I believe he'd be a great candidate for the 7th Ward. I told Kerry Davis to try to run for it. You never know. You might.
Robert, we don't need no more BS.
You mean the county 3rd seat?
No.
Robert needs a job.
Right now, I'm talking about the 7th Ward, but in the county 3rd seat,
you
I mentioned
run.
to please.
Yeah,
Robert,
you
you
hear that?
run for the 7th Ward.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
You
why
would get
then.
all the votes.
Yeah.
Kick
Okay,
that mud hole out.
They already know you.
Okay.
And you take, you know.
I promise. When I make a promise, I keep it. And if I make a promise to myself, I keep it. And I promised myself that I would not run for any political office for 10 years. It's been 5 years. And the most important thing I have ever done is done not because I was in a political office, because I had access to the political offices and my own voice. That is what makes me powerful. As soon as I become the political officer of the people, I have to help everyone. So I can't really be an opposition voice or anything like that, or a person.
I don't know.
Everybody's
But
voice.
Robert, you could also find a candidate that you support and get behind and lead them
That's
to.
what Damon Alexander is that way, and this is why. Because I watched him run that cannabis commission masterfully.
Yes.
And
He's a
then
smart dude.
he also showed everybody respect.
Yep.
Didn't matter which side you were on.
And he let me talk extra, even when I just raised my hand.
And all that, to me, is how you should govern, right? When you're a governor for the people.
Of the people.
Yes. But what I'm dealing with right now, and I'll tell everyone out there, I'm dealing with PTSD from the last administration, and it's still not over. I realize that I am scared of them retaliating against me, and that's how I live my life every day in San
The
Bernardino.
Obamas?
They retaliate against me, and I say,
the
2014,
F the police.
We're talking about Obamas. I'm talking
And the
about right
governor.
here in
Our city
San
council.
Bernardino, dude. This is not a joke. This is
seven-
serious
It's
shit. dude.
serious.
The seven wards.
Yeah, I said a bad
And the
word
mayor?
because I'm pissed off about this, because I realize a guy who has a huge voice here in San Bernardino has been intimidated by this current administration, and that is wrong. And if I feel that way, how many other people that don't have a voice feel that way?
I do.
It's not right. We shouldn't have to feel scared of our own government, right?
I've never been afraid of my
Well,
government.
they do things to you in San
well,
Bernardino.
Well, wait a second. People like you have ended up in jail. They took Jeff
I've
Wright.
been there.
No, they took Jeff Wright and they put his butt in jail for 6 weeks.
He was in there longer than that.
Then 6 months.
Right.
Right. I maybe 6 months total.
Right.
But still, someone who was all he was doing was breaking the 3-minute rule.
Right.
That's all he was doing, and they put him in jail for 6 months. That's terrible. Go ahead, dude.
Hi, this is I'm the board op, Nick. I just want to say, Robert, and I'm just throwing this out there. I know you said that you said you weren't going to run, for 10 years. It's been 5, so you're halfway there. You have the passion, you have the drive, you have the goals, you have the love of the city that I think is perfect to run for a position in this area.
Thank you, sir.
I think this area needs someone with that kind
Yes.
that you're displaying right now.
That's what I call it, on the hands of the people.
Right?
That's when you should run, when you're on the hands of the people.
Robert, be here now. What the hell? 5 years from now, Fukushima's going to nuke us all.
Hey,
You better
look.
do it now, man. Good job.
Maybe we'll convince him in the next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just, hey, if enough people get behind it, Robert will run and
He will.
break his own
Robert!
rules.
Robert. RP.
But wouldn't I? My whole goal is to just sit there and study the mega art and teach kids about dinosaurs and archaeology.
You don't have to do San Bernardino stuff every minute.
That's what I want to
You know,
do.
Robert, I want to
you know?
just tell you that if you were the councilman, you could educate the whole city on that because
Yeah, right.
there's a lot of things, you know, that people in this city should know about the city that they don't necessarily know. And then maybe you could really get that stuff taught in school because those are really our roots.
Yeah.
Robert,
You could be
Robert,
the councilman that
You've
could
got
do that.
Robert. You've got the conduit, like Carmel's saying, with Margaret Hill and James Ramos. You've got it right now, man. You've got it right now. Hear that, James Ramos? Hear
And
that,
Robert
Mrs.
is
Hill?
always like,
Yeah.
oh, instead of being mean like me, Robert's like, oh, I'm going to say a nice positive word, and then I'm going to tell you all a negative word, and then I'm going to go back to positive, you know? So,
Yes, back and forth, right?
yeah, Robert is a very good steward of the city.
Oh, I just got put on the opposition team when you like we had Davis coming in and we had Morris leaving, and I was trying to stop Morris from taking Wildwood Park and giving it to the Duttons. All right, it was going to get given away. Fred's he's still thinking about that. That's the main reason we still don't like you, Fred. It's not. It's because you tried to steal Wildwood Park. Who would do that?
Well,
I didn't know.
Who would steal the only dog park in like they we'll move the dog park down the street.
Hey, they gave Baca gave Seacombe Lake to the developers. Talk about that one. You know that.
Well, we need to do something with
Nobody
that thing.
gave it to
Yeah,
anybody
we need-
because it looks like trash over there.
we
What do
need
you
to
Oh
do
want?
yeah,
that.
but all that open space is
They-
designated
they-
for 560
did you know-
apartments.
Did you notice that they did paint that? I wonder who okayed
That
that.
looked like shit.
Who? I didn't say it this time. It wasn't
Robert's
me.
pants are too tight.
Yeah, like you could tell when me and Carl get pissed off. I mean, yeah.
Right. So you'll have to make that transition into the politician.
No, that park, I'm just going to tell you, that park looks just really, really freaking horrible. And
Yeah.
the paint job, all the paint jobs over there look horrible.
If you only knew what it looked like, you
Wait a
know the
minute.
pictures.
And you will give a regular person a citation. I want to go over there and cite that whole freaking park every day, and I want the city to pay me $1,000 every day that I have to drive down that street and look at it.
It's got 3 endangered species living in the water, so
They're probably dead with all the trash.
yeah.
So back,
they feed on the
back
bodies.
to what I was saying about our city, like in my PTSD from this experience of dealing with our city for 5 years now. I was supposed to be only 4, but they added themselves another extra year.
So they could get the purse.
Yeah. So what they don't get is like every time that they prevented I Love San Bernardino from getting an award, or every time they stopped me from getting a permit because I was a little late and tried to hurt the kids or whatever they tried. Every time they did something like that, it has an effect on your brain and it makes you not want to try again. Right? It makes you want to withdraw. It makes you want to hold back. But good people, volunteers within the city, you should be embracing their talents and bringing them in and not doing what you did to me.
Not if
That's
you.
not right what you did.
But Robert, you
and
are.
the same thing you did to Scott Olson, the same thing you did to Carmel Rowe, the same thing you did to Sung, right?
Kathy Brand.
I'll explain how they did it to you. You made your name. You walk into one of their meetings with a cannabis plant, right? Right?
Oh my God.
You walk in there with a cannabis plant, and all they try to do is talk your name down after that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't the most credible,
Yeah,
but
what you did,
It was
you were a
sure
hero.
funny.
You were a hero. To me,
Yeah.
you can't get more balls than that.
yeah,
If we could
I
say
was
that.
pushing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they should have
Huevos.
embraced you and said, "See, this guy cares this much,"
see,
instead of they go the
but see,
opposite all the time.
The example is that it's not just us. I think all of the San Bernardino businesses feel beaten up by
They
the
do.
city. Every single one. I really believe that, and because I talk to them.
So
And
see
it's
why we
not,
gotta
it's not just
have
us,
opposition and let
but-
them. They don't want to hear that, some.
Well,
But it's the truth.
It's because, and this is the challenge. The business people, I ask them, why don't you go talk to the city? And they all say, go speak in front of city council. They just shake their heads and they go, it's no use. I mean, these are business people. These are people that pay taxes and are. I mean, it's ridiculous. This city has so much potential.
So this is how we can lead into it.
Okay.
All three of us were at you were missing, but we would have loved to have you at the SBC Pound protest over there at the San Bernardino shelter. All right. We have
shelter.
Jacinta Valdez on the phone, a local dog advocate and teacher. How you doing?
Hey, Robert, I'm fine. How are you?
Did you call to talk about the Pound protest on Friday?
Yep, I was there, and I took my kid, and I took my friend Heidi Halpine. I know Heidi's a friend of yours online.
Oh yes, she's a very, very nice lady, and she was out there helping the pups too. I barely missed you all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. There were so many people there; it was hard to see, and I was really impressed by the show of people there, by the way they conducted themselves. I think that people didn't even know what was going on when I was telling people they were stopping and saying, "Oh, what's this for?" And I'm like, people have no idea that the dog beds have been taken away.
They don't.
Because they plan on giving that whole shelter away.
Well, the thing is, right now, are we getting bad feedback?
No.
Okay, because I'm getting it, but that's okay if you guys aren't getting it.
Robert's breathing heavy.
No comment. But no, they have these Coolaroo type beds. They're elevated cots that they have used. Every shelter uses them. They use them to keep the dogs off of the cement.
Because it's cold.
It's cold. And they're wet because they were spraying out. They have to spray them out to keep them clean.
Mm-hmm.
But then to my knowledge, I do not know this is true, but one of the volunteers told me that they had locked the dogs outside at night. Mm-hmm. It is flipping cold. Mm-hmm. If they had the Coolaroos, at least they'd be up off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the dogs do sleep outside over there.
Yeah.
Well, their theory is that they say that they're trying to prevent disease from passing.
Yeah,
but the reality is, if you spray the beds once you've had an infected dog with an
just get a new bed.
Chlorox, Lysol.
These beds are these beds are literally made out of PVC piping and cloth. Give a new one to each.
It's not even cloth. It's like a nylon. Yeah. So I mean, it's not like cloth.
You could probably get a new one for each pup and not even have to worry about disease ever.
Well, the thing is that you just spray it off with, the germicide, and it's ready to go again. My thing is, why are they taking blankets? They're taking basic rights away from these animals. They're not allowing them to have beds. They're not allowing them to have blankets. They aren't allowing this whole green fence thing they put up. I had to die laughing when in the article I read. I think it was in the Sun newspaper that said Macomber's reasoning for putting up the green slat fencing was to prevent disease.
What the?
The only thing I am thinking is
you can see through the slats. I mean, I think bacteria and viruses can just float right through there.
It's like a forest.
I don't know if they were trying to say that because people have it on them that they'll infect the dogs or they'll take it home.
No.
But it's just stupid. It's just stupid.
That's a dumb reason.
I felt like saying, "Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining."
Do you guys know that
tonight, but not last night? So quit telling me this BS.
So I have a question for you. Are you part of the animal? What are you with Alice Chow and that group? And
no,
did you
I'm not.
organize this group?
I do not claim to be with any group.
Okay.
She's just an advocate.
Do animal rescue.
Okay.
I do.
You're one of those that weren't allowed in.
I'm sorry. No, I did not even try to go in.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what. I have gone at times past and done various things, like during the fires in 2003.
Okay.
When we were going over there, and then initially, and then the Humane Society we had set up over at the Air Force Base, and we were working there, but we were also going back and forth. When there was a big pet shop that was taken over at one point by the Humane Society. All their animals were, their birds were all seized. And we set up there at the animal shelter.
So to get back to the animal shelter, one of the major issues over there was that the volunteers were actually, I think what you're trying to get to is the volunteers were threatened. If they go to this protest, they will not be allowed to volunteer. They will not be allowed to volunteer over at the shelter anymore. Yeah. So I'm going around interviewing every single person that I could talk to out there. And it turns out some of the actual volunteers were wearing disguises.
Yes, they were.
And they were that
mad. They were because they're afraid. They're afraid.
Why should a volunteer be afraid?
And you know that to be a volunteer, you have to get
I don't volunteer
fingerprinted.
there. I don't volunteer there.
Do you know that you have to get fingerprinted and pass through security?
Well, and I'm not against that. I'm not against.
Right.
I'm not
but
against.
I'm just saying that the volunteers are upstanding citizens who can pass a police check, right? Yeah. And so
we do the same thing in schools. We do the same thing in schools because they have access to animals. Okay. We don't want somebody who's going to, mistreat the animals. Right. But the thing is, what I don't understand is why is Macomber coming in and saying that we don't want animals? There was a group I know that I've heard of that was going in and was grooming and bathing animals to make them more presentable and more desirable for adopters. Yeah. Because sometimes people can't see the diamond in the rough. And they were run out. When he came in, they were run out. When I guess I just don't understand.
Carmel wants to ask you a question real quick.
No, I just was going to tell you the answer is because when, they were going to outsource the dog pound to Riverside, and all those 100 people showed up at the city council meeting.
I was one of them. Robert was there.
Right. I was there too, and it was right before election time, so they couldn't do what they were trying to do because it was election time, and that would have just been real bad for them. But from that day forward, there's been a whole change in the shelter, and what they're trying to do is like they try to do with everything else. They try to get everybody's emotions down, and it's hopeless, so that hopefully they'll give up and they can just come in and take over like they normally do.
Well, it's also ruling through intimidation and fear. You see the same thing with I think it was Khan Kulia was saying that he has his own property and another property that he owns on his block. He bought it, I guess, out of frustration because it was constantly a disaster. And he's only since he's begun doing his work with We Are the Change San Bernardino and going out and cleaning these lots, now all of a sudden they are
finding him.
Finding fault with him, and all of a sudden they're finding, nitpicking. Why? Because they're trying to rule through intimidation and fear.
And I don't
understand why. Because
it's a bad thing because it creates PTSD for local citizens, and like was Carmel saying, then you want to give up.
But see, it's worked because a lot of people that used to just stand up and voice their opinion, if you look over the years, those people don't show up anymore. Right.
And yet, it's at the same point, it is turned around, and a lot of people are speaking up and acting out and saying enough is enough, because I used to speak out at city council way back when Judith Bias was here, and I was speaking out against fireworks and things like that not only impact humans but impact animals. And then I said I gave up for a while.
Cost a lot of money for the city.
Well, it's so stupid. That's a whole other thing that Robert. When you want to attack fireworks, I'm there with you.
Can I also say that we have an animal control commission in this city, who is chaired or headed by the police captain, and that committee is full of people who should be letting us know what's going on or what's right about the animal shelter. There is a commission. Do you guys know?
I did not realize that.
Yeah, there is an animal commission.
Yeah, but
I did not know that. I would love to know when they meet, because they're going to hear from me.
A lot of time they don't really get to meet because they don't have a quorum.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the game they play.
The thing is, if you have individuals show up, they can have a quorum even if you're not a voting member. I think.
We'll have to look into that. But we're going to move on to the next segment, Jacinta. But thank you for calling in. And we love them.
Yeah, I just want to encourage people to not give up. I want people to stand up and speak up and act out, because the only thing that has ever made change is a committed group of people.
Yes.
And you see that change happening right now with We Are the Change San Bernardino, where they're going out and they're cleaning lots. to the point where the city is afraid of cleaning ahead of them.
We'll give Luis a super high five
Yes.
for that. And they are not going to be cleaning this month. I believe they're going to do going to help
Elderly.
Yeah, help the elderly. So you might
Yes,
want to check into their new
I
angle.
can tell you where they're going to be. They're at Del Rosa Villa,
Okay.
which is behind the McDonald's on the corner of Sterling and Highland.
Okay,
But
cool.
you do have to go through some kind of vetting process to go in and work with the elderly. But they are doing senior
I
kids
would go
and
to
stuff
their
like that.
Facebook group. We are the change, San Bernardino volunteers, and write them a message, and I'm sure they'll get right back to you. They're good peoples over there. All right, thank you for calling, Jacinta. We appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you.
behave.
Asta, I'd like to, before we get to our new segment, I'd like to go through these events that we definitely need to know are going on. We have Winter Wonderland and the Christmas Parade over at Paris Hill Park, Saturday, December 8th at 11 a.m. I'll be there for sure. I love that stuff. I love to see the kids going down the freshly done snow up there and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. So come on down to Winter Wonderland at the Paris Hill Park.
Who puts that on?
City of San Bernardino. Then we have the number 3, Huge Hearts Toy Giveaway over at Starting 5 Barbershop. I'm Highland and Sterling over there by the now shut down Target. And that's Saturday, December 15th from 12 to 3 p.m. And they're good people over there. And you're basically collecting toys, and they're giving them to kids in need. And I like to help any of those kinds of projects. So if you'd like me to mention your toy giveaway or event or whatever, make sure you send me a message, and I'll give you a shout out. Or if you want to, call on in, 1-888-909-1050. Call on in and let us know what's going on. We also, before I go, we got the Community Ho-Ho Parade. It's 4 nights. You go to the Community Ho-Ho Parade Facebook group, and you can find out that on December 10th, they got the east to west route, December 11th, the northern route, December 12th, the western route, and December 13th, the central route. So hopefully one of them will come by your house and bring your kid out to the corner of their route and wave at them and show support for the Ho-Ho Parade that's been around since I was a kid here in San Bernardino. And then, of course, last but not least, Family Cultural Night. Tuesday, December 11th. That's next Tuesday, December 11th, over at the Professional Development Center, 4030 Georgia Boulevard. I'll be over there with Sindra Weber and Jackie Nunez, and we'll be helping the kids learn different Native American art and skills. I'm not sure what we're doing this week, but it could be dream catchers. I think we're getting close to that. But we've done things like baby rattles, soapstone carving. Last week we played a game with sticks, so it was really cool, really cool. All right, the last segment. We got 15 minutes here, so I'd like to start this segment, and I call on this living history. So what do I mean by living history? Well, I try to bring some history on here each day, and I realize a lot of the historical writers, I'm sorry, they just don't write like you speak. And some people like that, all those big words and in the jargon and stuff like that, but to me, I find it really confusing, and sometimes it's really hard to read on the radio. So you can't just grab an excerpt out of these historic books and read it. It's because it's written weird. So I always have to bring it out and then critique it, look at it, and then write it out again how I'm going to say it on the radio. But then I realized, whoa, we are living history right here.
Yep.
We've been here 84 years. Right? Just me and Karma alone. Right? So you guys might have your own little bits of history you could share with us too. So right here, I like us each to share some living history that they have from their own lives here. And I'd like to start out by mentioning the tadpoles up at 40th Street Wash, right? So right there at the Wash, there's these yearly, usually during the flood season, these dry lake areas fill up with water. And they're like little ponds. And the toads go in there after they mated, and they lay eggs. And then all these tadpoles, I'm talking about thousands and thousands of tadpoles swim in the water there, still to this day. Now, don't go taking the toe at tadpoles anymore. You don't do that anymore. Back in the day, we used to collect them and put them in the ponds and things like that. But now, leave them be.
Now you go to jail for 6 months?
Yeah, they're endangered, and you want to make sure they're okay. But, it's still kind of cool that, that's, something that people have done in San Bernardino since my grandpa's time. They've gone and collected the tadpoles, and the other thing they would collect is horned lizards, right? But unfortunately, Virtually all the flat tails are gone. I have never seen one in the San Bernardino area. I have heard of a few up in our foothills, so they may still exist up there. But the reason we don't have any flat tails is because most of the red ants are gone, and that's what they eat is red ants. So the big red ants, if they're gone, that's why most of the horny lizards are gone. So, is that what they call it? Horny toad.
Well, they could be horny during spring,
toad.
but you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's my history. What do you got, Carmel?
Well, I have a long history here. I mean, I don't even know where to start.
Playing tennis at Paris Park.
Oh, no. No, this is just like one of my best memories is that we used to walk home from junior high school at Serrano.
Yeah.
And it was before the casino was like really built up. I mean, the casino was like a small little box, and there used to just be a hole in the wall, and the parking lot was all dirt. And we used to walk through the dip, which is no longer. And the reason I bring this up is because when I drive over there now, it's like totally a shock from when I was a kid, like what I see. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all paved. There's no dip at all. Okay, like we used to walk by these horses. These horses are not there anymore. It's like all this other stuff, And I just remember that when we were kids, we used to take our lunch money. Honest to God, we used to take our lunch money and we used to go into the casino. When we were in junior high school, and they used to have these little their slot machines. We'd put our $1 and $2 or $3 our lunch money in there, and it was like a football one. You could have footballs or you could have these beer mugs, okay? And if they came across, like, you'd win. So we would do this on our way. We would save our lunch money. We would do this on our way home from school, man. And we'd try to make $10 so we could go to 7-Eleven and spend our $10 on whatever we wanted. Now, maybe 4 out of 5 days we'd leave with our $10, but you couldn't do that today.
No.
Like, no little kid walking from
so
Serrano
funny.
can do that,
Hey, you ain't going being underage and going in that casino nowadays, man. They got you having a card with all your information on
but
right
that's
when you
what I'm
walk
saying.
in.
Like from then to now, how
It's
much
crazy.
the Indians have evolved, and how much their what they do for the city has evolved, and yet the city is still not evolved.
Yeah, that's why we can count. That's why I really want to count on San Manuel to help lead the way for San Bernardino to evolve into what it could really be and what it used to be. Not exactly what it used to be, but what it could be at that level of being a great area.
Yeah,
I mean, we have a lot of good
How
stuff.
do you think that the tribe will help San Bernardino? In what way?
So this is how this works. I used to work in L.A., right? And if you've worked in L.A., you've all heard of what is Beverly Hills, right? Well, there's these little communities outside of Beverly Hills, like West L.A. and I think it's City of Commerce, a few other ones.
Rodeo Drive.
Right there, right? Well, all of these cities, what I noticed, it's not easy to just for a normal person to go in there and start buying stuff. Why? Because the people in Beverly Hills are shopping in these outskirts areas. Why? Because it's hard to get into the stuff in their area, or you don't have enough room or whatever. So they're using the services from outside. Eventually, right this second, San Manuel is using the services from the surrounding area, which in turn helps the whole area, helps everybody, right? So even a San Bernardino can say, hey, I'm going to build this business right here at the gateway to San Manuel's casino, and I'm guaranteed I think there's 30,000 people that go by that thing a day.
Traffic jam.
Then you got the 10 freeway right there. Almost 100,000 people go down the 210 freeway every day. 100,000 people. Like, probably a lot of them going to San Manuel, right? So these little things, by drawing in all these customers for the people around it, that is going to bleed into San Bernardino and make us one of the strongest cities in the area, just like it's doing to Highlands right now.
If we only had something to do, because look, over by my house, they have all those soccer players, okay? Like, soccer is big, and they go down and they stay at Hospitality Lane, but there's not, I mean, now there's a few more places to eat, but a lot of times we would, even though we have these big major things in our city, we give the extra money that would be spent to an outside surrounding city because we don't have the services that the people are looking for, or that they need. And to me, I'm going to be real honest. Like, I found the Renaissance Parkway over there in Rialto because my kid started working at Amazon. It's like 5.62 miles from my house. I'm not going downtown anymore. I'm not. And you know what? I'm not going to Highland.
Well, don't say that yet, because we're gonna get that thing downtown revving, and you're gonna want to go down there. No, now, where's your history there, Al Kelly? You got a history?
A couple short things. I was real fortunate when I first started teaching. I was in San Bernardino. I was there from 1982 to 1992, and we had a relationship with the U.S. Forest Service and the city of San Bernardino when they used to care a little bit. And a man who was a ranger by the name of Jerry Stoops would get trees, and they were locally cultivated trees, coulter pine and white fir. And my students planted 10 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail where there had been fires, and I did that every year. And then it just died. The other thing, and I don't expect anything from Native Americans. I'm not sure if we should, but I think it's so close in your relationship, maybe we could get something. We had from 1991 till 2014 the Inland Expo Fair, Environmental Expo Fair at Cal State. What we used to do is on Earth Day, for that weekend, we would have the students, up to 12,000 students. They would camp overnight at Cal State, Friday and Saturday night, do all these activities. But then the president of the college stole the money, about $100 million, and put the master's degree that we were part of, the only environmental master's degree on the West Coast, and put it to Homeland Security and your boy, Mr. Chabot. You know? And that died. But we used to have 12,000 kids that got to learn everything about San Bernardino. And James Ramos was involved in that even when the casino was in its early days. But that's gone forever.
Maybe we can get it. Maybe we can
I
get it back.
would love to see James and the crew get that back, because that people were so impressed. Mayor Valles would show up all the time. It was really great.
Environmental expo. All right, now someone who's North Korean spy taking a bullet for San Bernardino, right? What do you think? Now Trump
is living history.
Trump.
Now. Trump's not coming after you. He's not really a spy. I'm just kidding. Yeah. But he's a historian, though. He really is. Now tell us a little bit of what history in San Bernardino that you've liked, that you've seen since you've gotten here.
Well, the arrow was prominent when I first came here.
Cool.
I noticed it, and I thought it was fake.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought they did it, like a high school thing.
Well, they kind of did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they planted about 10,000 trees around.
But that was my initial thought, and then I kind of never really thought about it again, because some high school kids went up and cut some trees and make it look like But since then, I've learned about the Yahaviatam. Yahaviatam, people of the pines.
Yes.
Which is a confederacy of tribes. Right?
Oh, no, clans.
Clans, right, who have occupied this area.
Yeah, so there's several clans that used to occupy the area, but a lot of the clans went, they dissolved, and the traditional one now is Yohaviatam, then the Mara or the Maringa in the Morongo area, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's a few clans,
they're all kind of related.
Yeah. But the the left Serrano are very small and only in a few areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they had a hot tub up in the mountains.
Yes.
Where they supposedly came from, right?
Yeah, hot springs.
And they would spend the winter and summer there, and the features of this area, the geothermal, the water, all that minerals, the gems, the richness of this area that's what I love about this.
It's incredible.
And the natives loved it here because they found the same thing.
Yeah. We have a few seconds left. So Jim took me up to the old trail 2N40, I went up there, and my main goal was to check out an area that was a piece of art, like to see if maybe the art itself was something and what it's made of. So this piece of art, I think, is either a bear or a jaguar face, and it's huge, and there's two paws or hill, and then one hill is a huge face with a muzzle. On the muzzle itself, right, is a huge crystal mine. It's a bunch of limestone with green crystals. What do they call it? epidote crystals
Epidotes,
eroding out of it, and other crystals as
Yeah.
well, and heavy metals. So this whole area that is the muzzle of this jaguar, a bear piece of art that I see is a mine, and it's a native site. You can see where they carved areas where they were carrying the rock, because whenever you carry heavy loads, you do it in diagonals, right? So wherever you see diagonals is where people are usually carrying a heavy load up a hill, because going straight up is hard.
Animals like that use those trails too.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for taking me over there, Jim. I appreciate that.
I want to go.
Yes, we'll have to do that sometime.
2 ends.
Yeah.
Sung, thanks for hobbling on in and taking a bullet for San Bernardino. I'm making fun of it, but I really am. Thank you for doing that, dude. Because
Still living with it.
Yeah, you're doing. Al Kelly, as always. Carmel, we love you. Woo! This is Robert Porter with the I Love San Bernardino County Radio Show, and we are out of here.
Say you don't know me, I recognize my face. Say you don't care who goes to that kind of place. Knee deep in the hoop,